Listen to the Wealth Talks podcast and increase your financial wisdom. You will find episodes about investments, the infinite banking concept, how to fight inflation, the financial side of retirement, and financial questions Jesse asked his girlfriend. Listen to the Wealth Talks podcast on any podcast platform or watch it on YouTube. There are new episodes of the Wealth Talks podcast weekly. Search for Wealth Talks podcast online and subscribe for free.
Shooters, hunters, and outdoor enthusiasts, Emax Tactical has you covered. We offer specialty, exotic, and vintage ammunition you won't find anywhere else. Plus, field medical kits and civilian legal training. Emax Tactical is passionate about helping customers find exactly what they need. 90% of orders go out the same day. Visit Emax Tactical online and use code TODD for 10% off your first order. Visit us at emaxtactical.com. EMACStactical.com.
Attention, you're listening to the Todd Huff Radio Show, America's home for conservative, not bitter talk radio. Be advised that the content of this program has been documented to prevent and even cure liberalism, and listening may cause you to lean to the right. Here's your conservative, but not bitter host, Todd Huff.
Well, that is right, my friends. And by the way, I don't know if you've been watching what's been happening in the halls of Congress in Washington, D.C., but the wheels have completely come off. They've completely come off the radical left's propaganda system as NPR. I don't know if you saw any of that hearing. NPR, the CEO there, testifying before a House committee. It is remarkable. Some of the things that they have admitted, some of the backtracking that this leftist running NPR, National Public Radio. We'll talk about this today. We'll talk about the idea that there's any federal funding for this thing at all is preposterous. I mean, we don't get federal funding here. Why can't they make it work on their own? What is going on here, especially when you realize this organization is run by extreme radical leftists, and we'll go through that today, my friends. If you are new to the program, we have a page on our website called The Stack of Stuff, in honor of the late, great Rush Limbaugh. That's what he used to call his stack of printed papers that he would use when talking on his program. We've got a digital stack on the website. You can go to toddhuffshow.com, just go to the stack. If we reference anything that you want to see us talk more, well, if you want to go and read more about it or whatever, you can do that. So that's where we are. That's where we're headed today. It is, again, it's astonishing what was admitted, what was exposed, what we have learned. It is just a lot to take in. So anyway, that's where we're headed, my friends. So before we get started, though, you know that there's not a whole lot that's more important than a good night's sleep. That's how we recharge our batteries to fight the battles of the day, whatever that might mean. Whether you're running a business, working for a company, you have a white-collar job, a management job, whether you're a blue-collar worker working with your hands, driving a truck, whatever that is, raising a family, teaching. I can't go through all the professions here, my friends, but you know that it's important to be recharged, and that's why, my friends, one of the reasons why I like My Pillow, they've got everything you need, starting with their patented pillows, which, of course, I use each and every night, and I have to use it to adjust that adjustable fill to fit between this big head, which rests atop these broad shoulders, and as a side sleeper, that is a recipe for neck problems, so I use the My Pillow pillow. I like it. I also like its cooling technology. You can shop My Pillow products and save with a discount that they've extended to you as a listener of this program simply by using promo code TODD. The website is mypillow.com. Promo code TODD is going to get you savings there. Don't wait, my friends. Whether it's for your sleep, your mornings, or just a little bit of extra comfort, MyPillow has you covered. MyPillow.com, promo code Todd is where you can shop and save, my friends. All right, so let's lay a little bit of background here. NPR CEO Catherine Maher, she is a radical leftist. In fact, she's, delusional as well, which of course is synonymous to being a radical leftist. But she gave a TED Talk. You probably have heard TED Talks in the past. This is where you're given this prescription for how to give a speech, a public talk, and you go up there, and it's short form. I don't know, how long are TED Talks? Oz, do you know? There's a specific length that they're targeting. They're not super long, but they're also not 60-second Todd Talks either. But anyway, so she's on the stage here giving her TED Talk. This goes back to last year. This is almost a year ago, April of 2024. And one of the things I want you to pay close attention to today as we go through this is just how much the world has changed in it's not even 12 months. This is April 17th. So in 11 and a half months, just a couple weeks shy of the full 12 months is how long ago this was. And just think today, or this week, it was actually Wednesday, she was sitting before Congress basically getting called out for the stupidity, the insanity, the bias, the lack of journalistic integrity. All that was happening in the halls of Congress a mere, we'll say 12 months from the time that she gave this talk. I want to play this. This thing is, what is this? This might be a minute and a half or something. I don't have the time in front of me. I listened to this morning in show prep. It's not super long, but I want you to listen as she gives the part of the TED Talk where she tries to explain her vision of what the truth is. In fact, referencing the truth as an outdated concept. I mean, this is mind-boggling to those of us who have something happening between our ears, my friends. But I want you to listen to this, and I want you to pay careful attention, to what she says. She's telling you who she is, what she believes, and she is embracing the morally bankrupt and absolutely, a worldview here that's absolutely, positively devoid of truth. In fact, she says it's an outdated concept. And I also want you, because we're going to touch on this as the program comes together today, I want you to think that this is the world that we lived in 12 months ago and how much it has changed. By the way, I don't want to go down this path very far, but the pride festivals that you see around the country, the pride festivals, gay pride, all this stuff, you'll see that a lot of people are pulling their sponsorships. I think Anheuser-Busch has pulled their sponsorship from the Pride Festival. Now, as a person who believes in free speech, I'm not, say what you want to say, believe what I guess you want to believe. I might have some questions about that. Truth might have some things to say about that. The scripture might say something about all those things. But anyway, I'm not in favor of speech being silenced, but what I am in favor of are these companies who are coming to realize that the worldview that they've been promoting or at least enabling, at least playing footsies with here, is completely falling apart before our eyes. Now, this is not a celebratory victory dance on my part. I'm a little bit excited that we're to the point where it is on the ropes. If you're a boxing fan, you get your opponent on the ropes and he's leaning on the ropes and he's about to go down. He's trying to stay out of your reach. He's trying to avoid that knockout blow, but it's not over yet. It's not over yet. In fact, we've got to see this thing through to completion. We've got to knock out not the people. I'm talking about the ideas that are embraced by the godless radical left. This stuff has to stop being peddled and pushed down the throats with the money of companies who have embraced this wokeism, right? That still exists out there. We have to stop this from being especially peddled upon our children and forced upon the rest of us through the 7 pillars of propaganda in our society. So anyway, that's a side note. Let's get back to Catherine Maher here. She's the, again, CEO of NPR, National Public Radio. And I want you to listen to her TED Talk here, explaining her vision of what truth is and her belief that truth is kind of an outdated concept. Here it is, her words, not mine.
But what about the hard things, the places where we are prone to disagreement, say politics and religion? Well, as it turns out, not only does Wikipedia's model work there, it actually works really well. Because in our normal lives, these contentious conversations tend to erupt over disagreement about what the truth actually is. But the people who write these articles, they're not focused on the truth. They're focused on something else.
That's a lot to take in and of itself. When she's running NPR and she admits the people who are writing the articles about these issues, about politics, about religion or whatever, they're not interested in the truth. I can agree with that. I can agree that the people that are in her world, that are out there on her air, that are posting articles that they are undoubtedly sharing and basing some of their reporting on, I can assure you that I agree that they are not interested in the truth. I could not agree with her more. And this is why I've got a problem with this, why I've got a problem with NPR and the media in general. The media should be interested in presenting how these different factions in our society, people in a story, are how they're pursuing truth or what they're claiming is the truth. The media should be telling us as fairly as they possibly can what these arguments are about. They shouldn't be pressing for what they want us to believe, but they should be interested in getting to the truth in so much as that means accurately portraying truthfully what each side of an argument or a story actually entails, what it's predicated upon, what it's built upon, the arguments that are being made, the beliefs that are fueling these positions. And she's admitting here that the people writing these stories couldn't give two hoots about that. She continues here.
Which is the best of what we can know right now. And after 7 years of working with these brilliant folks, I've come to believe that they are onto something. That perhaps for our most tricky disagreements, seeking the truth and seeking to convince others of the truth might not be the right place to start.
Interesting.
In fact, our reverence for the truth might be a distraction. That's getting in the way of finding common ground and getting things done.
What the world is she talking about?
Now, that is not to say that the truth doesn't exist, nor is it to say that...
You're saying it doesn't matter. It's not to say the truth doesn't exist. That's an interesting... if anyone ever says that to you, truth is relative. I love... This is so simple and so profound at the same time. If someone says to you, there is no such thing as truth, I mean, all you basically have to do is say, is that a true statement? Right? I mean, truth is unavoidable. Now, it doesn't mean that every time we speak about truth, we're going to get it right. Now, of course, if you listen to this program, we pretty much do that each and every day. But the idea of saying that the truth doesn't exist. Now, she says she's not saying the truth doesn't exist. She's basically saying it doesn't matter. And she's going to get more into this, but basically what she's trying to convey is that we should spend our energies, I guess, on finding common ground between truth and utter delusions that some people might have. I guess that's what she's arguing for here. She says truth does exist. It's just that maybe it doesn't matter and is essentially kind of an outdated concept. She continues.
The truth isn't important. Clearly, the search for the truth has led us to do great things, to learn great things. Mm-hmm. But I think if I were to really ask you to think about this.
Here we go.
One of the things that we could all acknowledge is that part of the reason we have such glorious chronicles to the human experience in all forms of culture is because we acknowledge there are many different truths.
Oh, there we go. We acknowledge that there are many different truths. Catherine Maher here, the CEO of NPR, doing her best to integrate Eastern philosophy here, I suppose, into NPR, saying that there are many different truths. There are many. This you want to really, I'm unoffendable. I am unoffendable. You can go and you can look at some of the things people say about us on social media from time to time. I'm unoffendable. Sometimes I'll bark back a little bit to some of the stupidity, but I largely just ignore it. It doesn't matter. It actually helps us to spread the message when people take the time to leave these stupid comments. But I'm unoffendable, and I think you should try to seek that as well. There's a time, by the way, my friends, there's a time to fight. In fact, I'm doing this Bible study, I always forget the Bible recap. I always forget the name of this Bible study. The Bible recap, Tara Lee Cobble. I absolutely recommend it if you are interested in that sort of thing. But I am in the book of Nehemiah right now. Nehemiah, one of the last books written chronologically in the Old Testament, the Hebrew Scriptures, before we get to the New Testament, the time of Jesus. And they're rebuilding the walls in Jerusalem. Actually, they've rebuilt the walls. But Nehemiah there was a time for Nehemiah to fight. And I kind of like this. I told Oz yesterday, I said, look, I've learned a little bit more about Nehemiah that I didn't know. I kind of like this guy's spunk and his fighting spirit. I like this. There's a time, my friends, and a place for this stuff. There's a time to do that. But there's a time to also just simply, in general, not be offended by these lunatics. But if you want to really light the fuse of this host, say something like, the truth, there are many different truths. Now, I suppose you could say, what do you mean by that? Meaning, for example, there are different things that are true. For example, the universe had a beginning is a true statement, whether you want to believe that or not. And you could say, gee whiz, what's something else we could point to that's true? I guess you could say that this program has been documented to, 98% of scientists agree that listening will cause you to lean to the right. So you take two statements, you could say there's different things that are true, but this concept, that's not really what she's saying. She's saying there are many different truths. So basically, you can believe today is Friday, someone else can believe it's Tuesday in December, and hey, what are you going to do about it? There's different truth. This is so ridiculous. It does light my fuse a bit here. But she's saying there's multiple truths, so why are we getting so upset at pursuing this idea of truth when really there's a bunch of truths to begin with, and this is kind of an antiquated and outdated concept. So says the CEO of NPR. I'm just giving you background here. We're going to play clips of her testimony, some of her previous tweets that she was asked about during this testimony on Wednesday and everything else. But I've got about 30 more seconds of her kind of explaining this during her TED Talk that we want to leave as a kind of a background into who this radical leftist lunatic really is that's running NPR.
And so in the spirit of that, I'm certain that the truth exists for you and probably
really?
For the person sitting next to you.
Probably.
But this may not be the same truth.
Oh, boy.
This is because the truth of the matter is very often, for many people, what happens when we merge facts about the world with our beliefs about the world. So we all have different truths. They're based on things like where we come from, how we were raised, and how other people perceive us.
This is just factually false. Listen, this is painful. She's supposed to be, this is someone on the left. This is like the pinnacle of success. This is a role model. This is someone, I mean, she's female at NPR. She's breaking glass ceilings and giving hope to young girls. I've got 2 young girls. I certainly want them to see all the success that Catherine Maher has had in reaching these pinnacles, especially when she's saying such ridiculous things. Your beliefs, goodness gracious, listen, the camera's not on here today. I'm still working on some technical problems behind the scenes with some technicians on our sound feed for our Rumble channel. But my head is in my hands. I'm rubbing my face and my eyes with how absurd this is. Folks, let me tell you something. Your beliefs, my beliefs, they are either true or they are not true. She's somehow separating beliefs from truth. Now, we can have disagreements, right? We can have disagreements. Someone can believe somehow that the Democrat Party is the party that's going to save our democracy, as they say. People can believe that. And someone like me can say the Democrat Party as it exists today under the leadership of these radical leftist lunatics, by the way, releasing criminal illegal aliens in Massachusetts. It's been reported. I've told you that this was happening. You know that this is happening. But they've got the receipts. They've got evidence. They've got individual cases. This was the purpose of today's Todd Talk. If you want to listen to that at toddhuffshow.com, just go to the Todd Talk. But these are the sorts of things that these leftist lunatics are doing. And some people believe that by shielding them from ICE, that is a good thing. I don't believe that. We can have different opinions and we can argue it out, but what's the basis of a belief is what we say, I believe this because that makes the most sense. And another way of saying that makes the most sense is that seems to be accurate and true. Our beliefs are either true or false. I believe that there is a God, a creator of the heavens and the earth. I believe that he spoke to his people as the story of the Old Testament tells us. I believe that he came to this earth, sent his son, Jesus, to be the ultimate sacrifice for the sin that we as human beings have committed. I believe that he sent his Holy Spirit. In the New Testament, it talks about this. You can disagree with that. We can have different beliefs about that. But I'll tell you this, we both can't be right. There's some things that maybe neither person's right on. Maybe there's another logical explanation for something. But when it comes to God, there either is or is not God. There's no other alternative. There either is or there is not. If you're in the is camp and that is the truth, then that is the truth. Doesn't matter if you believe it. In fact, if you're in the don't believe that camp and there is a God, which there is, but if you're in the don't believe that there's a God camp, you suddenly don't get to avoid the truth that there is a God, or vice versa. If there's not a God, which there is, to be clear, if I believe that there is a God, but there isn't, it doesn't matter what my belief is. Truth is there. Truth doesn't need your opinion, my opinion. Truth is what is. She's out here acting like truth needs to be conformed and concerned about all of our feelings, and you have your truth, I have my truth. We can sit here and we can stop fighting about what's true and just get along. But see, by saying that, she's making a truth claim that the most important thing is that we all seek to get along with each other, which, by the way, I'm not against that concept, but I'm not in favor of that concept at the expense of rejecting truth, if that makes any sense. I'm long. This segment, looking at the clock, got to take a quick time out, my friends. You're listening here to the home of conservative, not bitter talk. After the break, by the way, we're going to talk some of the things that happened in this hearing on Wednesday. It was quite the sideshow, my friends. Quick time out. Back in just a minute.
Listen to the Wealth Talks podcast and increase your financial wisdom. You will find episodes about investments, the infinite banking concept, how to fight inflation, the financial side of retirement, and financial questions Jesse asked his girlfriend. Listen to the Wealth Talks podcast on any podcast platform or watch it on YouTube. There are new episodes of the Wealth Talks podcast weekly. Search for Wealth Talks podcast online and subscribe for free.
Tired of store-bought produce? Ever dreamed of growing your own healthy food but worried about space? Exo Hydroponics is a perfect solution. Exo Hydroponics is a family-owned business run by a mother and daughter team. Their innovative Exo Tower lets you grow up to 28 plants indoors or out, using less than 2 square feet. Visit exotowers.com today and start your journey to growing fresh organic food at home. That's exotowers.com.
Looking for a knife that's more than just metal? The Rainy Forge handcrafts blades in a real coal forge, the way they were meant to be made. Every knife is meticulously crafted, hair-popping sharp, and built to last a lifetime. From hunting to cooking, we've got a blade for you. Affordable heirloom quality. Visit therainyforgeblacksmith.com and click Buy a Knife to get started. The Rainy Forge, built with tradition, ready for your adventure.
Welcome back, my friends. So, now that we've kind of laid a little bit of the background for who this CEO of NPR is. Again, her name is Catherine Maher. She was testifying before a House subcommittee on delivering on government efficiency, and it did not go well. I mean, it's entertaining, no doubt. It's quite revealing in many, many ways, and we're going to go through this as best we can in the time we have. This will, by the way, almost certainly go into the second hour of today's program as well. So let's start talking about this. But before we do that, my friends, let me say to you, let me talk to those of you who are in sales for just a moment. How would your life change? How would your day-to-day life change if you were able to double your sales? That might seem like an insurmountable number or an unachievable goal at this point in time. But if you think about it for a second, and you think about the difference between succeeding and failing, or struggling and reaching your goals, a lot of times it comes with having the knowledge and the tools, right? If you can find shortcuts in the sense of learn from other people's experience, especially those who have proven that they have the ability to deliver results. If you can cut those that learning curve down, you can achieve a lot more quickly than you first thought possible. More deals, bigger commissions, less stress. It's exactly what Matt Easton and Easton University can help you achieve. Their system is designed to help transform your sales career, and Matt will even personally jump on a call with you when you become a student through our partnership at the Todd Huff Show with Matt Easton and Easton University. He's going to help you get started. This is not just a training program. It's a proven path to success, but you have to take that first step. And here's that first step. Go visit toddhuffshow.com/Easton. That's EASTON. toddhuffshow.com/Easton. You can get more information, and you can decide if this is something that makes sense for you, my friends. But you got to take that first step. toddhuffshow.com/Easton. Don't let another opportunity, don't let another day slip by. When I was new in sales, and I used to do sales in my life before this show, you can say a lot of things are still sales. I'm selling the ideas of constitutional conservatism on here each and every day. I invested in my own sales development. Back in the day, it was getting tapes, actually CDs, Zig Ziglar CDs that I would listen to in what he called Automobile University when you were driving around. You can do the same thing. This is a great program. toddhuffshow.com/Easton for Easton University and Matt Easton. All right. So let's look here. I'm looking at a Daily Signal article that's got some clips and some commentary on this absolutely disastrous testimony by the NPR CEO. By the way, you'll remember, you may have forgotten this. I had forgotten this, but she, and this article reminded me of this, the Daily Signal article, Catherine Maher, didn't show up to testify last year in Congress at a congressional hearing. And now we might see why she didn't show up last year, because this is a wild ride. All right, so first up, we've got Representative Brandon Gill. Brandon Gill is a young representative from Texas, I believe. There we go. Yes, from Texas. 31 years old. And he's asking questions of NPR's CEO. Again, that's Catherine Maher. He's referencing old tweets or posts on X, I guess. Just listen. This is embarrassing. the utter takedown of her and exposing her for just how radically insane she is, running an organization that she wants you to think is fair and unbiased. She's running an organization that candidly is exactly what I've told you it is on this program. It's one of the 7 pillars of propaganda. It's one of these pillars in our society, media in general. It's one of these important aspects that can be influential. It's been taken over by leftists like Catherine Marr, and they are using their power to push propaganda on us, to push this country further left, to help them win elections, to help them win the argument and all of that. And on top of that, at NPR, they're getting some federal funding to do it. So I want you to listen to these questions. This exchange is absolutely well done, by the way, by Representative Brandon Gill. Listen to this exchange.
Do you believe that America is addicted to white supremacy?
I believe that I tweeted that, and as I've said earlier, I believe much of my thinking has evolved over the last half decade.
It's evolved.
It has evolved. Why did you tweet
over the past half decade? I love how they... I'm telling you, this happens. Believe me when I tell you this. She was coached. She did prep for this hearing. She knew that this question was coming. That's why she was ready for it. She said, my thinking on this issue has evolved. Now, she could have said over the past 5 years. That doesn't sound quite right, because what that sounds like is to a normal person, wait, 5 years ago, where were we 5 years ago? 2020. Okay, 2020, that was COVID. That was an election year. That was Joe Biden. That's when America was fully embracing wokeness. That's when it was popular to believe these things, or so people thought. It never was popular, by the way. It was only made popular because the people who can make things look popular that are not popular are running these 7 pillars of propaganda, trying to force this garbage down the throats of all the rest of us. So it never was popular, but they played a make-believe game back in 2020 or 5 years ago that sought to make it look popular. But instead of saying 5 years ago, she decides her team of communicators inside her little preparation room for this hearing, they said, listen, Ms. Marr, what you need to say when referencing a period of time that you want to make it sound longer, you need to say a half decade. A half decade sounds longer than 5 years. Oz, do you think a half decade sounds longer than 5 years, or is that just me? She thinks it sounds... I mean, half of America doesn't know what a decade is anyway. I mean, to them, you might as well be saying half a century. If you've not seen any of these spring break, man on the street interviews, watch some of those, and you will agree with me that half of America couldn't define what a decade is. But nonetheless, she decided, her team of communication experts who are trying to get people to not see what's really going on behind the curtain at NPR, they've decided that half of a decade sounds so much longer than 5 years. I'm going to back this up a bit so you can hear more of the brilliance coming from Ms. Marr here with her stupid answers. But these questions and his preparation, Representative Gill, are pretty good. This is going backwards.
As I've said earlier, I believe much of my thinking has evolved over the last half decade.
Oh, yes.
It has evolved. Why did you tweet that?
I don't recall the exact context, sir, so I wouldn't be able to say.
Okay. Do you believe that America believes in black plunder and white democracy?
I don't believe that, sir.
You
don't know where
tweeted
statement
that
comes
in
from.
reference to a book you were reading at the time,
tweeted that
apparently,
too.
The Case for Reparations.
I don't think I've ever read that book, sir.
Oh, that's funny,
Tweeted
because...
about it. You said you took a day off to fully read The Case for Reparations. You put that on Twitter in January of 2020.
Apologies, I don't recall that I did.
She doesn't remember reading the book. No, this sounds like a Hillary Clinton testimony. I can't... You know, Rush used to have... Actually, Paul Shanklin. Paul Shanklin used to do a series of parody songs, and there was one that they did for Hillary Clinton. I can't remember. My brains in a blender was how that song went. She doesn't recall. I don't think I've ever read that book. Oh, that's interesting. Then why did you tweet that you just took the day off to read the book in its entirety here in January of 2020? I mean, he comes ready to go, and she looks she looks foolish up here. But this continues.
No doubt that your tweet there is correct, but I don't recall that.
Okay. Do you believe that white people inherently feel superior to other races?
I do not.
You don't. You tweeted something to that effect. You said, I grew up feeling superior. How white of me. Why did you tweet that?
I think I was probably reflecting on what it was to grow up in an environment where I had lots of advantages.
It sounds...
What a stupid answer. You know what? We need to call these things for what they really are. This is stupid, is what this is. So here's something the left is infatuated with. The left is all about posturing, positioning, messaging. It's the opposite of how, normally if you've got, say, a good idea or you've got a fundamental truth, let's take a truth, which she says there's many truths out there, but let's say there's actually a real truth, and you say, okay, I believe this truth. It's the bedrock upon which, I can gain solid footing, right? It's a truth. It's immovable. It's undeniable. I mean, you could argue against it. It's not going to change. And I'm going to stand upon this truth. And that's going to be where I get my traction, my footing. And then I'm going to build out from this. I'm going to take the truth and then try to explain it. That's what we do here on this program. Try to take the truth, articulate it, explain it. But the left looks at it the opposite. The left says, let's come up with a message that sounds good. And then whatever we can attach that to that furthers our political agenda, let's attach it to that so that the idea or the belief or the policy or the political fight that we're having at the moment, we want to make it sound like we want to create a narrative that supports that. See, truth doesn't need that. We got to think of ways to communicate truth and get it through people's ears and through the thick skulls sometimes. But they think they sound so smart with these answers. They sound smug and ridiculous. This is a stupid series of responses, and I've got to take a break, my friends. Quick timeout. You're listening to Conservative Not Bitter Talk. I'm your host, Todd Huff. Back in just 8 minutes.
Listen to the Wealth Talks podcast and increase your financial wisdom. You will find episodes about investments, the infinite banking concept, how to fight inflation, the financial side of retirement, and financial questions Jesse asked his girlfriend. Listen to the Wealth Talks podcast on any podcast platform or watch it on YouTube. There are new episodes of the Wealth Talks podcast weekly. Search for Wealth Talks podcast online and subscribe for free.
Looking for a knife that's more than just metal? The Rainy Forge handcrafts blades in a real coal forge, the way they were meant to be made. Every knife is meticulously crafted, hair-popping sharp, and built to last a lifetime. From hunting to cooking, we've got a blade for you. Affordable heirloom quality. Visit therainyforgeblacksmith.com and click Buy a Knife to get started. The Rainy Forge. Built with tradition. Ready for your adventure.
Hello, it's your favorite president telling Todd Huff listeners about Mega Milk Protein Powder. That's what we're calling it, Mega Milk. It's protein for patriots, okay? American-made Mega Milk destroys dad bods and builds a big, beautiful wall of mega muscle on your entire body. So true. Don't buy protein made in China. You'll be a total disaster, a weak loser. Your workouts are winning. Drink Mega Milk. Go to magamuscle.com and put some Trump in your pump. magamuscle.com.
Welcome back, my friends. Going through this absolutely embarrassing testimony, revealing testimony by the CEO of NPR, Catherine Marr. She testified before a House subcommittee on, government efficiency, and it was embarrassing. She's being eviscerated here by Representative Brandon Gill. And that's where we left off last segment. He's asking her these questions. Do you believe in this? I don't think that I do. Oh, then why did you tweet this back in 2020 or whatever? Well, I was probably reflecting on something and just being very profound, and I didn't realize my thinking has evolved over the past half decade and all this meaningless gibberish. It is funny to me. These people are so concerned with looking like they're intelligent and smart. They want the rest of us to think, wow, she just knows it. She uses big words. She doesn't say 5 years. She says half a decade. This lady has to be serious. But in reality, what she's building the foundational ideas upon which she's built her worldview are absolutely idiotic. I can't say that. Whatever the strongest word you can insert there is, that of course is clean and appropriate for radio, that's what I would insert. Foolish, moronic, idiotic, stupid, just absolutely morally depraved. This is what these ideas are. that she embraces, and it's being exposed for all to see, anybody who wants to see it. That's where we're going to finish up. That's what we're going to finish up here, this segment, the last segment here of the first hour. My friends, really quickly though, if you want to be part of what we are doing, if you want to get some bonus content, you can become a lifetime member of the Inner Circle for only $99. That's one-time investment. You are a member, you're in. You can help us shape and mold this membership program. Some of the things we're going to be doing behind the scenes here. We're looking for a core group of people to help us build that. If you're interested, you can text the word JOIN to 317-210-2830. Again, the word JOIN, J-O-I-N, to 317-210-2830. Or you can simply go to our website, toddhuffshow.com/join to secure your spot today, toddhuffshow.com/join. The program is going to launch a little bit later this spring. We're looking for founding members who want to have a lifetime membership to the Inner Circle. All right, so there you go. That being said, let's continue listening to this exchange between Representative Brandon Gill, Republican from Texas, and vastly mismatched CEO of NPR, Catherine Marr, try to explain some of the silly things that she's tweeted over the past half decade. Here we go.
Sounds like you're saying that white people feel superior.
I don't believe that anybody feels that way, sir. I was just reflecting on my own experiences.
Do you think that white people should pay reparations?
I have never said that, sir.
You haven't.
Yes, you did.
Yes, you did.
You said it in January of 2020. You tweeted, "Yes, the North. Yes, all of us. Yes, America. Yes, our original collective sin and unpaid debt. Yes, reparations. Yes, on this day."
I don't believe that was a reference to fiscal reparations, sir.
What kind of reparations was it a reference to?
I think it was just a reference to the idea that we all owe much to the people who came before us.
And what?
That's a bizarre way to frame what you tweeted. Okay.
Pause that, by the way. Did you notice when he said, you believe in reparations, and she says, no, I don't? And he said, then why did you tweet that you did? Did you notice her initial response when he used the word he didn't say financial, maybe I'm wrong. I don't think he said financial reparations. When he said the word reparations, she knew that he meant financial reparations, but she said in her answer, I didn't mean it the way that I just assumed that you meant the word. It doesn't make any sense. They again, it's built upon the shifting sand. These people cannot be trusted. I'm just going to keep playing this. This is, more people need to hear just how pathetic
how much reparations have you personally paid?
Sir, I don't believe that I've ever paid reparations.
Okay, it's just for everybody else.
I'm not asking anyone
Seems
to pay
to be what you're
reparations, sir.
suggesting.
Kind of does.
Do you believe that looting is morally wrong?
I believe that looting is illegal, and I refer to it as counterproductive. I think it should be prosecuted.
Do you believe it's morally wrong, though?
Of course.
Of course. Then why did you refer to it as counterproductive? It's a very different way to describe it.
It is both morally wrong and counterproductive, as well as being illegal.
You tweeted, it's hard to be mad about protests in reference to the BLM protests, not prioritizing the private property of a system of oppression. You didn't condemn the looting. You said that it was counterproductive. Mm-hmm. NPR also promoted a book called In Defense of Looting. Do you think that that's an appropriate use of taxpayer dollars?
I'm unfamiliar with that book, sir, and I don't believe that was at my time at NPR.
You tweeted that you read that book, but
I don't believe that I did read that.
Yeah, she doesn't know what she read. I don't know that she's reading anything. I think she likes to go to Twitter and just tell people how smart she is, or how she can try to convince them how smart she is. It doesn't sound like she's got a clue. Her ideas certainly don't make the least bit of sense. This is just a marvelous expose. That always reminds me of the Impractical Jokers, for those of you that watch that program. But it's just an expose. He's exposing her for these absolutely morally bankrupt ideas and beliefs that she has. And it's right there for anybody who wants to see it. It is listen, what they've done to us through NPR, through other, not just NPR, but through other government-funded, federally funded nonsense over the decades, over the half of millennias, or whatever term of years we want to use to fit in with the CEO of NPR here. They're being exposed, and I love it. I am here for every second of it. I'm just out of seconds for this hour, my friends. Sit tight. I will see you on the other side of the hour. SDG.
Listen to the Wealth Talks podcast and increase your financial wisdom. You will find episodes about investments, the infinite banking concept, how to fight inflation, the financial side of retirement, and financial questions Jesse asked his girlfriend. Listen to the Wealth Talks podcast on any podcast platform or watch it on YouTube. There are new episodes of the Wealth Talks podcast weekly. Search for Wealth Talks podcast online and subscribe for free.
Seeking natural solutions for your health and wellness? Look no further than Garden Root Remedy. We offer handcrafted herbal tinctures, salves, teas, and more made with only the highest quality organic herbs. We provide personalized consultations to help you find the perfect herbal remedy for your specific needs. Experience the power of nature's healing touch. Visit Garden Root Remedy online at gardenrootremedy.com. That's gardenrootremedy.com. Rooted in nature, blooming with wellness.